Chinese media has been really drumming up the coverage ahead of the games. How is this being talked about in China now?
Yeah, the Olympics are always a point of national pride for China. And this time, it's a time for them to showcase their sporting prowess. And so the medal count is always in focus. And the U.S. is favored to win the most number of medals. But we have seen China beaten the U.S. before when it comes to the most number of gold medals in 2008. And then in 2021, in the Tokyo Olympics, they came close, just one shy of the U.S. But Chinese state media, remember, they had said that they won the most number of gold medals because they also counted the 4 contributed by Taiwan and Hong Kong as well. And then it's not just those gold medals, it's also Chinese manufacturing in focus as well. This is according to statistics from a Global Times editorial. Things you never knew you needed to know. Yeah. Silicone bracelets, 1 million of these made in China, and 35,000 ping pong balls sent from China to Paris. These judo mats are intelligent ones with chips embedded in it so you can track real-time data of speed, strength, and movement. And then 80% of these dolls are made in China as well. And the point of this editorial is to say that China and Europe are so close, so closely intertwined that it is hard for them to decouple.
Yeah, well, that's until they tariff ping pong balls. I'm kidding. They've done it with EVs. Why have they left out ping pong balls? I'm kidding. Minmin, there's a doping scandal and casting quite a shadow over the swimming team. What do we know? They're most tested athletes these games, I understand.
That's right. The World Aquatics have confirmed that the Chinese athletes, take a look at this table, they're tested nearly 4 times more than the US, 21 times per athlete on average. And all these other countries, UK, France, Germany, Japan, they're only tested 4 times per person. So this has kicked up a furor on Chinese social media, with many people commenting that this is outright discrimination against the Chinese athletes. Some people saying this is a humiliation against China. Let's pull up the Global Times quote as well. They published an editorial saying that this is a farce. Washington really politicizing the sports. The US is hyping this up mostly. And the World Aquatics have said that, have defended their position. And this really came under scrutiny because of a scandal ahead of the Tokyo Olympics where 23 Chinese swimmers were tested positive for a banned substance. But China says that that is because of contamination from food and environmental sources. And then the World Anti-Doping Association accepted that explanation and allowed those athletes to compete in Tokyo. And 11 of these implicated swimmers are now going to compete in Paris. So they have come out to defend themselves. But then now the International Olympic Committee seems like they have had enough, and they are blasting U.S. officials for opening a probe into this, and they're threatening U.S. Salt Lake City's bid for the 2034 Olympics and asking the U.S. to sign a contract to say that they will respect the authority of the World Anti-Doping Association.
All right. Getting interesting there. Yeah, apart from that, though, there's really so much to talk about these Olympic Games. For one, I think there was some reports about there's a lot of unsold tickets right now. So there are some athletes that are concerned that they might be actually competing in pretty empty stadiums and the like. The heat is certainly one thing they're talking about as well, and maybe even some of these beds and
the cardboard beds. I've read a couple of pieces on that too. Since you mentioned heat, right? My understanding is based on some of the articles on the beds. They've also mentioned that there's no AC.
Oof.
As well, right?
That's
which is obviously with the heat in Paris, and how can you be well rested enough to compete at a world-class level if you can't bring your temperature down? And the beds are cardboard. But I understand these beds too, I think, were the ones used in Tokyo anyway.
Yes.
And yeah, well, I don't know enough. I don't know about mattresses to give up.
This is also going viral in China because Beijing, when they hosted the 2008 Olympics, they spent like 4 times the amount of money that Paris is spending. So this group of badminton athletes from Beijing, they showed a tour of their apartment, and they're saying that it's so tiny, 9 people squeezed in it, and they have 2 really tiny toilets. You can see one of the beds is just separated by the others by a screen. I think he's going to show that later. There you go, there it is. It's really cramped, and then there are people just commenting about, when other people host the Olympics, it's never as good as the way Beijing does it.
Well,
they spent so much money back in 2008.
That opening ceremony is remarkable, right?
Yeah.
And you got to wonder what Paris has in store. I heard Celine Dion's in town.
Who's that? There has been chatter of a return of the diva.
Yeah. Right.